I am convinced of the following core truths. The government has engaged with alien cultures and continues to do so. Captured alien technology has been studied and integrated to guide human technological development. Underground facilities exist, some jointly occupied by extraterrestrial entities. Multiple alien species interact with humans, with some maintaining secret facilities where humans are manipulated. Alien influence extends to human evolution, genetics, and planetary power structures. Non-terrestrial entities walk freely among us. Organizations like MJ-12, PI-40, 5412 have existed and continue to operate. Animal and human mutilations occur, and abductions of humans happen regularly. Alien interactions with humanity are likely to increasingly impact society. At least 70 alien species interact with Earth, with 4 or 5 having the most frequent contact. Public initiatives like Star Wars, STI, and the space program serve as fronts for black projects. The US and the Soviet Union are not true adversaries in matters involving extraterrestrial contact. The Alternative 3 project is largely accurate, at least 60%. Aliens have influenced human religious systems. Certain prominent UFO researchers have governmental affiliations. The public is being acclimated through media to accept the following ideas. A one-world concept is promoted. Aliens exist and are among us. Alien motives may be unfriendly. Human evolution and behavior are subject to external control. Mind control techniques are actively employed by extraterrestrial entities and government agencies, including the CIA, to subdue individuals and advance agendas counterproductive to human progress. Power structures like the Illuminati, Bilderbergers, CFR, Trilateral Commission, the military, and the Federal Reserve contain elements that aim to maintain global domination, dehumanize humanity, and enforce a one-world paradigm. Society is intentionally kept in a state of disarray through ego-driven pursuits of security, sensation, and power. Robert C. Gerard, in Phenomena Conspiracy, identifies how media shapes societal perception by reinforcing mass conditioning through dismissive labels like UFO buffs or little green men. Relying on so-called experts who protect a human-centric worldview. The media maintains a narrow, myopic vision of reality, deliberately limiting public awareness of extraterrestrial presence. Television and film, from Star Trek to Something Is Out There, subtly introduce ideas of alien existence, interaction, and human-alien hybrids, preparing the public for broader disclosure. Some individuals have experienced contact with extraterrestrial beings from early childhood. Certain humanoid ETs possess subtle differences, such as slightly wider eyes, distinct auras, or vertical slit pupils. Research using crystalline structures has revealed energy fields indicating that not all humans are purely terrestrial. From 1947 onward, following widespread UFO sightings, the US government struggled to manage the situation. Compartmentalized power structures, including the military-industrial complex, intelligence agencies, and world domination groups, aim to study, control, and regulate the information released to the public. Many CIA structures were established post-World War II using former Gestapo and German intelligence personnel. MJ-12 has since overseen policy, research, and public acclamation regarding extraterrestrial presence. The presence of extraterrestrial life has influenced human society, technology, and governance for decades. This information is intended to consolidate critical observations, provide context, and encourage reflection. As you watch, you may find conclusions that challenge your worldview, but thoughtful engagement is the first step toward broader understanding. Most members of MJ-12 were high-level officials in government, intelligence, and scientific circles. Many were former CIA directors or heads of other intelligence and research organizations. The group was intentionally composed of stable, logical individuals deemed capable of managing the unprecedented situation posed by UFOs. After the Capitol was overflown by discs in 1947, the MJ-12 group was formed. In December 1947, Project Sign was initiated to gather as much information as possible on the discs and their occupants. Concurrently, public-facing front projects were developed, which eventually evolved into Project Ozma, SETI, and the Arecibo radio astronomy antenna. These projects serve dual purposes: monitoring for extraterrestrial life and creating the impression of a legitimate, benign search in outer space. They also provided funding channels that could be diverted to classified technical programs. Liaison between Project Sign and MJ-12 was tightly restricted, limited to 2 individuals within the Air Materiel Command's Intelligence Division, whose role was to transmit selected intelligence to MJ-12. Project Sign became Project Grudge in December 1948 after investigations indicated the presence of a real, concerning phenomenon. The death of Thomas Mantelize in 1947 while pursuing a UFO prompted the initiation of disinformation campaigns. 14 reports were produced under Project Grudge. Report 12 was withheld due to sensitive content, though facsimile copies surfaced decades later. Project Grudge's civilian counterpart was Project Blue Book, which only received sanitized reports for public dissemination. In 1949, MJ-12 developed the contingency plan for eventual public disclosure of UFO data, although it was quickly classified. MJ-12 was originally organized by General George C. Marshall in July 1947 to study data from the Roswell-Magdalena disk retrieval operations. These operations generated extreme paranoia within the government and prompted an internal inquiry into public perception of extraterrestrial phenomena. Admiral Hillenkoetter, CIA director from May 1947 to September 1950, later established the Robertson Panel to monitor civilian UFO groups and joined NICAP's board in 1956, serving as MJ-12's liaison to influence public perception. Following the Roswell crash and a subsequent crash near Magdalena, New Mexico, government agencies underwent extensive reorganization. The security lid was designed primarily to analyze and replicate disk technology. Efforts were compartmentalized across the Air Force Research and Development Board, Office of Naval Research, CIA Office of Scientific Intelligence, and the NSA Office of Scientific Intelligence. The NSA, initially created to protect the recovered disk secrets, gained broad surveillance capabilities over communications, including the U.S. mail. Advanced audiovisual monitoring technologies, even capable of recording past events, were developed to track witnesses and participants. For those involved in these programs, breaking security oaths could result in escalating consequences: verbal warnings, intimidation, psychological manipulation, induced depression or suicide, mysterious fatal accidents, memory erasure, confinement in mind control facilities, or recruitment into closed operations under strict observation. Alien groups also engaged in similar containment and manipulation. MJ-12 was surprised by first contact with an alien group, likely occurring between 1947 and 1971. Radar interference during the 1947 crashes may have triggered these events. President Eisenhower reportedly witnessed demonstrations of alien technology at Edwards AFB in the 1950s. Efforts to negotiate advanced technology were generally refused, except by one species, the Greys, standing 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall with gray to grayish-brown skin and large, almond-shaped eyes. The Greys are heavily involved in abductions, implantations, and animal mutilations, as described in Whitley Strieber's Communion. A key motivation for this report is to highlight how technology has been withheld, causing unnecessary suffering. Suppression extends to fields like primary energy research, with pioneers such as Wilhelm Reich, Ruth Drown, and John Moray facing persecution. Cultural stagnation appears deliberate, designed to allow those in power to dominate society. According to journalist Warren Smith, CIA sources indicate, in 1947, the CIA recognized Russia lacked technology comparable to UFOs, though Nazi knowledge may have been transferred behind the Iron Curtain. Wealthy and well-connected individuals funded covert investigations of flying saucers, including meetings at the Brooks Club in New York. Initial CIA investigations found UFOs to be of unknown origin. Public panic was a concern due to their rapid mobility. Propaganda campaigns, hoaxes, and debunking efforts were implemented to control perception. By 1955, radar tracked large UFOs in orbit, requiring a dedicated Princeton White Sands monitoring system under Dr. Clyde Tombaugh. The CIA maintained global surveillance of UFOs, compiling extensive data on their technology, biology, and origin. UFOs are real, representing advanced technology from a planet with a dying sun. Their first phase on Earth involved drone surveillance, lunar bases, cartographic surveys, and genetic studies to assess compatibility with humans. Following the completion of these projects, extensive communications relay stations were established to monitor both current and emerging media networks, as well as all military projects. Known as the Watchers, these systems are fully operational, recording virtually every aspect of civilization for observation by the would-be invaders. In mid-1963, a series of livestock attacks began in Haskell County, Texas. In one instance, an Angus bull was found with its throat slashed and a large, round wound in its abdomen. Local residents initially attributed the attacks to wild animals or mysterious vanishing varmints. Over time, the phenomenon gained notoriety and was nicknamed the Haskell Rascal. Throughout the following decade, similar attacks continued and came to be known as mutilations or mutes. Notable cases included the death of Snippy, a horse in southern Colorado in 1967, which coincided with local UFO sightings, a controversial Condon Committee investigation, and extensive press coverage. The modern era of biological mutilations is generally traced to 1973, marking the last significant UFO flap, though events in subsequent years suggest ongoing activity. Between 1973 and 1974, most classic mutilation reports emerged from the central United States. By 1975, these incidents expanded across the western two-thirds of the country, peaking alongside UFO and unidentified helicopter reports. By 1979, mutilations spread to Canada, primarily Alberta and Saskatchewan. Reporting in the US decreased after 1980, likely due to ranchers' reluctance to come forward, though the phenomenon continues. Estimates suggest between 6,200 and 19,900 animals, and possibly some humans, have been affected. Investigations into livestock mutilations must consider factors that may or may not be directly related to the acts themselves. These mutilations typically involve precise surgical removal of body parts, indicating the use of highly sophisticated tools and techniques. The consistent regularity, selective disposal of carcasses, and lack of detectable motive suggest extreme confidence and impunity by the perpetrators. A persistent element is the presence of unmarked or disguised helicopters near mutilation sites. These aircraft often fly at unusual or illegal altitudes, avoid identification, and sometimes exhibit aggressive behavior toward witnesses. Helicopters have been observed arriving before or after mutilations, sometimes hovering directly over pastures where mutilated livestock is later found. The helicopter phenomenon is frequently accompanied by sightings of phantom fixed-wing aircraft, which appear, disappear, and even change shape mid-flight. Worldwide accounts link these aircraft to UFO sightings, suggesting coordinated or related activity. For example, Virgil Armstrong describes an incident in which a specially equipped camera was used to photograph a hovering UFO. Shortly afterward, helicopters arrived and positioned themselves around the observers. Military personnel confiscated the film and issued warnings, illustrating both the UFO-helicopter connection and the likelihood of government oversight or involvement. Other accounts, such as those near Groom Lake, Area 31, Nellis AFB, describe unmarked helicopters operating in restricted zones, sometimes escorting black discs, which may be part of Project Snowbird, the testing and deployment of captured alien craft. Some reports describe occupants of unmarked helicopters as appearing Oriental in appearance, often communicating in unknown languages and wearing civilian clothing. Such descriptions parallel classic Men in Black, MIB, accounts, though MIB sightings also include pale, gaunt individuals sensitive to light. These encounters suggest an ongoing surveillance and control mechanism around mutilation and UFO events. Several explanations have been proposed for the helicopter mutilation link. The helicopters could be UFOs disguised as conventional aircraft, government or military vehicles monitoring mutilations without direct involvement, actively conducting mutilations themselves as part of covert programs, or diverting attention from other perpetrators. Speculation includes potential government involvement in biological sampling, testing for warfare, or resource assessment. For example, a U.S. Army scalpel was reportedly found at one mutilation site, possibly planted as a diversion. Some evidence suggests direct alien interaction in livestock mutilations. Notably, Judy Doherty and her son reportedly witnessed 2 discs abducting a calf near Cimarron, New Mexico in 1980. They were taken to a subterranean facility near Dulce, where they observed vats containing cattle and human body parts. Metallic implants were allegedly placed in their bodies, and subsequent medical scans confirmed the presence of these devices. Other witnesses have described similar abduction events, including the use of high-voltage tools to kill and extract animals. Psychics have occasionally been employed to assist in investigations, providing impressions from photographs and mapping areas where mutilations occur. In 1980, Peter Jordan engaged psychics to analyze photos of mutilation sites, contributing valuable insights to ongoing research. Psychic Ronald Mangravite observed the following regarding a mutilated animal. It had been dead for several days, with some parts decaying faster than others. There was an electrolyte overload in the body, possibly from a citrate injection, and abnormal blood composition with high plasma or lymphatic fluid. 2 men were working on the animal using very sharp surgical knives. They were dressed in black jumpsuits of shiny nylon. A winch line was being used from a helicopter. The men were highly skilled, likely ex-military. The tissue appeared intended for further analysis using techniques such as fluorometry and spectrophotometry. The helicopters were brown or gray, and there were indications of underground experimentation with various analytical methods. Psychic Elizabeth Lerner noted paramilitary involvement and a serious invasion of American privacy. Non-American personnel were apparently part of a secret project. Names, words, and symbols mentioned included Anide, Carmen or Carmen, Impita, Kielman, Kelman, Stefano, Adler, Mace, and the number 1714. Operations appeared to involve New Mexico, underground laboratories, Lilly Pharmaceuticals, Lincoln Continentals, Cadillacs, domes above ground, jet rocket labs, and specialized vehicles. Techniques mentioned included muscle relaxant injections and speeding cattle growth, with particular attention to the pancreas. One human mutilation case, documented in the controversial Grudge 13 report, involved Sergeant Jonathan Louette in New Mexico in March 1956. Louette, accompanied by Major William Cunningham, was dragged by mechanical arms into a hovering silvery disc. 3 days later, his body was found approximately 10 miles from the abduction site. His tongue, eyes, and anus had been surgically removed with apparent precision, yet no blood was present. Dead predatory birds were found nearby, apparently having attempted to feed on the corpse. These findings parallel reports of bodies, male, female, and infants, seen in underground alien laboratories, reportedly run by a species known as the Greys. On February 2, 1984, UPI reported that Dr. James Womack of Texas A&M University had discovered humans share perfect match chromosomes with cattle, specifically in the 21st chromosome pair, associated with Down syndrome. Additionally, experiments involving protomorphogens, or ground-up cattle glands, showed that human test subjects who consumed these substances over a year experienced cessation of their own hormone production. Similar practices were observed with human fetal glands used in some cancer treatments. FBI investigations have sometimes coincided with cessation of mutilations. For instance, when FBI agent Rommel was allocated funds to investigate mutilations in a New Mexico district, all incidents ceased during that year. Some cases involved the precise removal of unborn calves without rupturing the placental sac. Fluid analysis revealed crystalline structures not normally found in blood. Collectively, this evidence suggests multiple concurrent operations, with the Greys as primary actors, possibly interfacing with U.S. military or corporate programs. Psychic impressions from mutilated cattle indicate extreme heat, pain, and darkness experienced by the animals. Cattle appear to operate on a basic pseudo-emotional level, analogous to human responses under control by superior forces. This has led some to draw comparisons between humans and Greys, suggesting a cosmic farming dynamic. Abductions in the 1960s, such as those of Betty and Barney Hill, reflect the social perception of such events at the time. Earlier cases were sometimes attributed to amateur inventors or terrestrial causes, illustrating how cultural context influenced interpretation. The Lonnie Zamora case in 1964 helped establish public awareness of abduction phenomena, giving credence to later reports. The abduction of Nebraska patrolman Herbert Schirmer on December 3, 1967, provided detailed information. Aliens operated bases beneath oceans, polar regions, and the coast of Argentina. Their craft used reversible electromagnetic systems with crystal-like rotors linked to large columnar reactors, allowing manipulation of gravity and matter. These aliens used magnesium ships, bore winged serpent emblems, and their vessels could draw power from electrical lines and process water for energy. Their mother ships were cigar-shaped, and they employed 6-foot diameter discs for reconnaissance and surveillance. Later abductions, occurring from 1967 onward, revealed more about the motives of the Zeta Reticuli species, ZRS, and the Rigelian Greys. Patterns observed by researcher Thomas Bullard include: capture, the individual is procured. Examination, the person is scanned, specimens collected, reproductive organs examined, and implants applied. Conference, information or misinformation is conveyed. Tour, the subject is shown around the craft. Journeys, the subject is taken to another location. Theophany, experiences with religious overtones occur. Return, the subject is returned to their origin point. Aftermath, the subject deals with the physical or psychic consequences. Dr. Hynek, associated with MJ12, once estimated that approximately 1 in 40 people experience abduction. This phrase suggests that a massive number of people have undergone abduction experiences. Based on responses to lectures, books, and general dissemination of information about abductions, it is estimated that over 40 million Americans alone may have been abducted. In approximately 66% of documented abduction cases, the entities, EBs, were little gray humanoids. About 33% of cases involved EBs with a more human appearance. Some of these human-like beings were tall blondes, who could have been either Greys masquerading as tall humans, using their ability to manipulate the human mind, or genuine tall blondes with their own agendas. Roughly 1% of cases involved androids, synthetic clones, robots, or other artificial entities. Abductions generally occur at times corresponding to the sleep patterns of people in different regions. In rural areas, incidents often happen between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m., when most people are asleep. Urban abductions follow a similar pattern, though exceptions occur based on the immediate needs of the EBs. Memory loss is a primary effect of abduction, appearing in most cases but not all. Only about 30% of cases require regression hypnosis to recover details. Two main theories exist regarding memory loss. One suggests that abductions are expressions of the subconscious mind and that memory loss protects the conscious mind from trauma. Another posits that slowly pulsed microwaves, emitted from certain aerial machines or directly applied to subjects, can create memory gaps by altering neural processes. EBs may also deliberately misinform human observers and abductees to obscure their true nature. This prevents humans from acquiring knowledge that could interfere with the EB's objectives. Some researchers maintain that abduction events contain symbolic or religious elements tailored to the abductee's personal life or culture. Each experience is uniquely adapted to the individual. Theoretically, anyone can be abducted. Observations suggest a focus on individuals undergoing life crises or those with faculties beyond the five senses. However, evidence linking life crises to abductions is minimal. Abductees need a trusted, non-judgmental person to talk to. In non-physical or psychic abduction scenarios, individuals often give implied or explicit consent, such as saying, "Do anything you want and get it over with," while asleep. Addressing any permissive mindset is crucial. Negative attitudes can attract EB's attention, as their mental perception resonates with human thought patterns. Therefore, mental focus and emotional state are important in understanding abduction dynamics. Groups such as UFO Contact International can provide support. One practical defense is simply to say no, which can disrupt alien manipulation and allow the sleeper's consciousness to regain control. IQ appears less important than an individual's vibrational or electromagnetic resonance. EBs scan these factors to select targets, and similar technologies could be employed by other groups, such as the CIA, potentially for programming purposes. Abduction of human beings is carried out by many different species. Among them are three distinct members of the species loosely referred to as the Greys, beings about 3.5 to 4.5 feet in height with large heads and gray skin. Grey species 1 exists between the physical and non-physical worlds. They manipulate human mental fields and travel outside linear time. Religion appears programmed by them to maintain control and extract energy from human belief systems. Humans are conditioned to move toward light at death, allowing the Greys to interact with the soul. They upgrade the atomic structure of abductees during physical abductions to align with their dimensional density before returning them. Grey species 2, also known as reticulians, are about 4 feet tall with large heads and black wraparound eyes. They exist primarily at 4th and 5th density levels, with telepathic abilities and, in the 5th density, no physical bodies, using doll or android bodies connected via chakra points. They function with military precision and a rigid social hierarchy. Officers are identified by diagonal bands on their uniforms and may carry symbolic objects. This species extracts information from human mental fields, influences behavior, and can disguise itself. Mentally, they operate in a group mind and cannot adapt well to sudden changes. They have historically altered human genetics and crossbred with humans to create hybrid races. Both Grey species 2 and Grey species 3 operate as part of a loose alliance or network with shared objectives. Contactees report distinct skeletal features, including variations in radius, ulna, carpal, metacarpal, and phalanx bones. CIA sources in 1978 allegedly verified these structures from deceased aliens recovered in New Mexico. Earth has been inhabited by paraphysical beings long before humans. Conflicts with surface-implanted beings have occurred for centuries. Some argue that incidents such as Fatima in 1917 demonstrate the use of religion to maintain control over human populations, sometimes resulting in severe consequences for those who challenge it. The universe is conscious, and human perception is limited by physicality and linear time. Some abduction processes involve displacing a human consciousness and inserting another, without affecting the body. Grey species 1 operates without individualization, maintaining control within the dimensional matrix. Grey species 2 have made it their business to monitor humanity and program humans with data to increase awareness and facilitate the extraction of biological materials. They call this process inculcation, a method of force learning. Humans participating are technically volunteers, but the techniques used prevent them from being aware of their consent. Sometimes a human is abducted in childhood, taken to an Earth base for crystal implantation, and monitored throughout their growth. In young adulthood, the crystal is removed, and the person is categorized as a reserve or sleeper, ready to be activated for specific tasks later. The Roswell incident was one of the first retrievals conducted by the United States. Grey species 2 were found on board, along with human bodies and body parts, contributing to the high level of secrecy surrounding the event. It is estimated that the network has been present on Earth for the last 50 years, though their ability to operate outside linear time makes this uncertain. Government efforts to contact extraterrestrials have been suppressed, and Gray Species 2 refused certain technology exchanges, while Gray Species 1 cooperated. Gray Species 3, from the Rigelian system, made agreements with U.S. government factions over the past 40 years, trading technology for permission to perform abductions and mutilations. These included atomic and beam weaponry, gravity technology, and mind control technologies. Over time, some government factions realized the moral cost of these deals and began efforts to regain control. As of May 1966, a two-step strategy was implemented. The first step involved public acclamation to alien contact through media, including films and television. The second step involved active defense against EVs, with assistance from the Tall Blondes, who opposed the actions of Gray Species 3. Electromagnetic containment zones were set up both to limit the Blondes' freedom and to restrict EVs, creating a tense standoff. Gray Species 3, focused on maintaining control, sought to divide humanity rather than allow any faction to gain supremacy. Their influence over Earth spans decades, with similar arrangements occurring in World War II with Germany. They respond to displays of intense human emotion, which shape the psychological climate during historical conflicts. Gray Species 2, the Zeta Reticulans, disseminate data under duress and train humans using implants or forceful methods. Methods include placing crystalline devices in helmets with strobe lights to program responses onto brain waves. Hypnosis, sleep, and microwave carrier waves are also used to encode information, which can be triggered later by specific stimuli. Variations of these techniques have also been employed by agencies such as the CIA and NSA, sometimes in political assassinations. Gray Species 2 also uses holographic screens for conscious training or suspending subjects to view multicolored light sequences that reactivate ancient psychological implants. These implants often limit human self-realization and create self-imposed restrictions. Many abductees are programmed to carry out instructions within a 2 to 5 year window. These measures slow human evolution but do not halt it. Humans moving into fourth-density telepathic development are particularly opposed by the Greys, who seek to prevent the reactivation of Earth's energy grids. Reactivation opens dimensional doorways, interfering with EBE activities. Gray Species 3, the Rig Aliens, entered a deceptive agreement with the US, trading access for technology while continuing abductions. They are genetically engineered, with yellow-greenish skin that appears gray when nutrient intake is low. They absorb nutrients and excrete waste through the skin. Variations in appearance may represent different evolutionary stages of the same species. They reproduce via cloning and manipulate human consciousness using crystalline technology and chakra networks. Humans have been used as food in rare cases, with evidence at places like Dulce labs. Their operations include cloning themselves, impregnating humans for later extraction, creating limited lifespan androids, and acquiring DNA and tissue for genetic research. While crossbreeding is challenging due to genetic differences, some success has been achieved. EVs maintain bases worldwide and exert deep control over human society, including through organizations such as the CIA, NSA, NASA, the military, and financial institutions. Mind control, viral releases, and social program manipulation further maintain population control. The US government, as conceived by Jefferson and Washington, has long been overtaken by these influences. Human freedoms are contrived and heavily controlled. Concepts such as one world, one government extend these control mechanisms globally. While a telepathic, peaceful society could develop naturally, external interference has diverted humanity from this path. Reactivation of Earth's energy grids will eventually open dimensional doorways, which the EBs perceive as a threat to their activities. It is estimated that over 3,000 species have interacted with Earth, with only a handful playing a predominant role. All Gray species share telepathic capabilities and function as group minds, lacking individualized consciousness, which gives them strategic advantages. They reproduce through cloning, and some operations include human cloning and consciousness transfer. Crystalline and electronic manipulation of human bioenergetic fields is the primary method of control, particularly for extracting genetic material or, rarely, using humans as food.